Hi guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet in a continuous round. What that means is that at the end of each round I'm not going to join my round and then step up to do another. We're just going to continuously crochet. Now the way that you accomplish this is that you'll need to use a stitch marker so that you can keep track of your rounds. So to begin, you'll need to make a magic ring or magic loop or magic circle, they can be called. So to do that, you take your yarn and wrap it around 2 fingers. Cross it over to make an X. Use your thumb to hold the X, turn your hand over, and hold your yarn down with your ring finger. You'll take your hook under the first strand of yarn, grab the second and pull it under the first, and turn your hook so that you have a loop on your hook. When you do that, you notice your working yarn is moving. That's the yarn you want to grab with your hook and pull it through the loop on your hook. That's your magic ring. Now we're going to make, in this example, single crochets. This knot that's on your loop does not count as a stitch. So we're going to make 6 single crochets into our magic ring, making sure that you place your stitches over the tail. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now I'm going to tighten up my magic ring, but I'm not going to make it super tight yet, because when you do that, it's going to make placing your next stitches a little difficult. So I'm not going to make it real tight yet. Now with the continuous round, we're not going to be joining our round with a slip stitch. Instead, we're going to just continue on with our crocheting. This is where your stitch markers will come in. I've got here a couple of examples of what you can use as stitch markers. My favorite is this particular one because it locks and it will not fall through your work. In a pinch, you can use a paper clip. The problem with a paper clip, though, is that it will slip out of your work if you're not careful. You can use a bobby pin, or you can buy these little decorative stitch markers too. Okay, so rather than making a slip stitch and joining, we're just going to continue on with our work. We have 6 stitches for our beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to make my first stitch into this first single crochet. Now I'm going to mark that first stitch because that's where we're beginning here. And I right away put my stitch marker into that first stitch. We're going to be making a round, and in order to make our round larger and keep it flat, we need to do what's called increases. Increases are simply putting 2 stitches into 1. So I placed my first stitch here, and now I'm going to place a second stitch into that same space, because for the second round we need to increase all the way around and in each stitch. When you're doing increases, you're essentially making each row larger by the number of your original round. So this round had 6 stitches in it. So that means every round after is going to increase by 6. So this round has 6. That means the next round, round 2, has to increase by 6. So that means round 2 will have 12 stitches in it. So I have my first 2 stitches placed into that first single crochet of the first round. Now I'm going into the second, and I'll place 2. And I'm going to continue around until I meet back up to my stitch marker, placing 2 single crochets or an increase into each of the single crochets of my first round. Okay, so I'm back at my stitch marker. That's where we began. To double check myself, I can go back and count each of my single crochets, and I should have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This was our starting. Now I'm going to remove my stitch marker, and we're going to go on to round 3. This is a good time to go ahead and tighten my center circle. Now for our third row, we need to have 18 single crochets. To do that, we're going to increase, but we're going to increase every other stitch. So my first stitch, I'm going to make an increase, 1, and right away I'm going to put my stitch marker in, and I'll put my second stitch in that same space, so that's 2. Now for the next stitch, I'm going to just do 1 single crochet. The next stitch, I will place 2, or an increase. Then I'm back to 1 in the next stitch, and an increase. That would be 2 in the following stitch. One in the next, and then an increase. An increase is done to help keep your work flat. If I was not making these increases, I'd end up with something that is wanting to start to come together and curl. Okay, and since I began with an increase, I should end on a single stitch. All right, so this is round 3, so I should have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 is where my stitch marker is. Remember, when you're counting your stitches, you never count this yarn that is on your hook. So I'll remove my stitch marker, and I'm going to start round 4. 6 times 4 is 24, so I need to have 24 stitches in my 4th round. So I'm going to begin with an increase. That means I'll put 2 stitches in this first space, and I'm going to right away put my stitch marker in so that I don't forget. I'll place my second into that space, my increase, and now I just place 2 single crochets into the next 2 spaces, and then do my increase. For round 4, we begin with an increase, and then we place 1 single crochet into the next 2 spaces, and then you do an increase. 2 single crochets, an increase. 2 single crochets, and an increase. I'm going to include a little chart that will do the math for you at the end of this video, and that will help, I think, you visualize what we're saying here. So that was an increase. So my next 2 spaces are single crochets, and then an increase. 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and an increase. 2 single crochets. Whoopsie. I love this yarn, but it is super slippery. And let's see, that was an increase, 1, 2, and an increase. single crochet, and a single crochet. If you begin your work with an increase, then you're going to end on a single. All right, I'm going to count just to kind of illustrate for you that I should have 24 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. All right, so we are now on round 5. So you guessed it, 5 times 6 is 30. I'm removing my stitch marker, placing my first stitch in that space, and right away marking that stitch. Woo, got my hook in there too. All right, now I'll go back and put my second stitch in that space because we're starting on an increase. And in this round, we're going to go single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, increase. 3 single crochets in an increase, 3 single crochets in an increase. And that will bring us around to our stitch marker with 30 stitches. So that's all there is to it, guys. Using your stitch marker helps you keep track of your rows as you continuously crochet in the round. You can choose to do the continuous rounds, or you can do the joining rounds. The advantage of a continuous round is that you don't end up with the seam that you sometimes see in a joined circular pattern. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be notified the next time I post a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.